Welcome to another night shift horror story. If you love chilling tales, hit that subscribe button and stay in the dark with us. Night Shift Report, Pine Meadows Care Center. Unofficial transcript. Taken from the personal account of night guard Kevin L. I never meant to write this down, because I'm not entirely sure I was ever really there. The job started like any other. Clock in, scan your badge, walk the halls, check the rooms. Pine Meadows, an old private care facility outside Vermont, was so quiet at night you could forget anyone was even alive inside. My shift began at 11 p.m. The guy I was relieving only said one thing. Make sure you check room 6 every 3 hours, no matter what. Open the door and look inside. I asked why. He didn't answer, just smiled, not a friendly smile. Something else. First check at 1 a.m. Room 6 was empty, no bed, no patient. Just 4 white walls and an old crooked mirror in the far corner. I wrote in the log, Room 6, no occupant, no issues. Second check at 4 a.m. I heard knocking from the inside, like someone tapping from behind the door. I opened it. No one was there, but the mirror reflected me facing the wrong way. I waved my hand, the reflection didn't move. I shut the door, locked it. When I got back to the security office, the clock read 2:12 a.m. But I knew I had just checked the room at 4. That's when I checked the cameras, the footage of me walking toward room 6. It didn't exist. Instead, it showed me sitting motionless at the front desk for 3 straight hours. But I remembered the cold when I opened that door. The foggy weight in my mind, as if something had paused time, or recorded over it. The next morning I asked management about room 6. There is no room 6 at Pine Meadows, they said. I insisted. They took me to where I knew the door had been, only a blank wall, freshly painted, seamless. I quit that day, but I still can't explain this. The next morning I got an email from an internal Pine Meadows address. No subject, no text, just an attachment, a still from the security feed. In it, I was standing outside room 6 staring into the mirror. And in the reflection, I had no eyes. And this morning, 1 week after quitting, I woke up with a thin scar behind my ear. A small stitched incision, no blood, no pain, just there. The hospital ran a CT scan. There's a small metal object lodged behind my thalamus. No entry record, no prior surgery, no one knows how it got there. I'm not telling this to be believed. I'm writing this down because last night I dreamed of room 6 again. Only this time I was inside the mirror, and I watched myself out in the real world, walking back toward the door. So if someone offers you a night shift at an old care facility, and they tell you to check room 6 every few hours, say no. Or if you must, never look in the mirror. I used to work the night shift at a gas station just off I-70 somewhere in Colorado. It was just a temporary gig after my hours got cut at the local Walmart. The place sat about 8 miles from the nearest town. The kind of spot where if your car broke down at 2 a.m., this was your only hope for help. It had a tiny attendant booth, a few old pumps, and a grainy security camera that barely worked. No co-workers, just me, the dark, and the occasional sound of engines humming in the distance. And on my last night there, I realized there are things out here scarier than being alone. The night started off normal. I clocked in at 10 p.m., brewed some coffee, checked the POS system, and sat down to read. Around midnight, a silver Ford pulled up to pump gas. The driver was a man in his 40s wearing a baseball cap. He didn't come inside, just leaned against the car, staring out toward the woods, like he was listening for something. I was about to step out and ask if he needed help, but as soon as I opened the door, he jumped in his car and sped off. I shrugged it off. Figured he had something personal going on. Around 1:30 a.m., I was standing behind the counter when the storage room lights started flickering. That wasn't unusual. The wiring in this place was a mess. But when I checked the cameras, I saw someone standing at the back door. They were wearing the gas station uniform exactly like mine. Blue shirt, name tag. But here's the thing, I didn't have a coworker. I worked the night shift alone. I grabbed the intercom and said, "Hey, who's back there? That section's closed. Where are you supposed to be?" No response. I switched to the wide-angle camera. They were gone. By then, I had that sinking feeling, like someone was watching me from just out of view. I checked the back door. Still locked, but on the glass was a faint handprint, like someone had pressed their face to it trying to look inside. I rushed back in, turned all the lights on, and reset the cameras. Close to 3 a.m., the door chimed. Ding, ding. A young woman walked in wearing a hoodie, looking pale. She came straight to the counter and whispered, "Do you have a bathroom?" I pointed outside, around the left side of the building. She nodded and went out. 10 minutes passed. She didn't come back. I went to check. The bathroom door was ajar, lights still on, no one inside. Now I was really freaked out. I got back to the counter and saw the station's logbook sitting wide open, the same one I know I had locked in the drawer. It was open to today's date. The page was completely filled in, but not in my handwriting. The letters were messy, rushed, but clear. "Not tonight. Don't go outside. He's in camera 4. I spun around and pulled up camera 4, the rear lot angle. Nobody there. But something made my skin crawl. In the bottom left corner of the screen, reflected in the glass door, was me. Only I was smiling, and I swear to God I wasn't. I stood frozen in front of the camera monitor. Myself, or more accurately, another version of me, was smiling in the reflection. But the smile was wrong, twisted, asymmetrical, like something trying to mimic human expression without fully understanding how faces work. I spun around to check the actual glass door behind me. No one was there, but my heart was pounding like it wanted out of my chest. I tried to calm myself down. Maybe it was just a glitch or a leftover reflection. But I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't alone anymore. I locked every door, tried calling my manager, only to hear the operator say, "The number you are trying to reach does not exist." Does not exist? I had just spoken to him at the start of my shift. Around 3:30 a.m., I started hearing footsteps. Not one person, multiple. Soft, dragging footsteps like someone walking barefoot across the concrete lot. I checked the cameras. Nothing. Then, the outside lights began to flicker in a strange rhythm. On, off, like Morse code I couldn't decode. I found myself drawn back to the logbook. Something about it pulled my eyes to the page. The next page had been updated, new writing that hadn't been there before, like someone was actively filling it out, live. "Don't look in the mirror, don't say your name, he can hear you." I was trembling. As I flipped to the next page, I noticed something that made my blood run cold. My name, Brandon M., had been scratched out and rewritten dozens of times. Line after line of frantic erasure, as if someone were trying to erase me from existence. I threw the logbook aside and pulled out my phone to call 911. But just as I dialed, the screen went black, battery dead. Even though I knew it was at 100% when my shift began, the glass door made a soft click, like a hand brushing the handle. I backed away behind the counter and grabbed the baseball bat stashed beneath the register. Then the door chimed. Ding, ding. A man walked in. It was me, or someone who looked exactly like me. Same blue work shirt, same khakis, name tag reading Brandon hanging slightly crooked. He looked at me, didn't speak, then walked casually over to the coffee machine, poured himself a cup, sniffed it, then turned and said in my voice, "Coffee's still as bad as ever." I couldn't breathe. My fingers clutched the bat tight, but my legs were paralyzed. He smiled. Relax, I'm just here to remind you. Don't go outside when the sun comes up. You remember what happened last time, don't you? You tried. It didn't end well. I screamed and lunged at him, but when the bat came down, he vanished, like he'd never been there. The bat swished through empty air and smashed into the shelf, sending cans tumbling. I stumbled back, panting. And then every camera feed went to static, each screen flickering like a broken TV. One monitor lit up again, not a live feed but a recording, footage from another night shift. I saw myself opening the door and stepping outside into the morning light. And after a few seconds, my figure just vanished in the sunlight. No blood, no scream, just gone. I screamed and rushed back to the logbook. A new line had appeared, written in handwriting exactly like mine. Keep everything the same. This time, don't screw up. That's when I started to understand. I had lived through this night many times before, and each time I broke the rules, stepping outside at dawn, saying my name, looking into a mirror, I got erased. And maybe the thing imitating me, replacing me, is what's left behind after every failure. I sat down shaking and waited for sunrise. Didn't move, didn't blink. And when the sun came up, I didn't open the door. I didn't go outside. I just turned off the lights and wrote one final line in the logbook. If anyone reads this, this is not a normal gas station. Don't take the night shift. Don't stay past 3 a.m. and most importantly, Tsadan, never see yourself. A few days later. My name is Daniel, 26 years old. I moved to Colorado a few weeks ago after quitting my job at an auto repair shop back in Wyoming. I saw a flyer at a rest stop that said, urgently hiring, night shift gas station attendant, exit 63, 20 HR, no experience needed. I called just to see. They hired me on the spot. The person on the line said only one thing. As long as you show up on time and don't leave until you're replaced, everything will be fine. Weird, sure, but I needed the money. My first night, the gas station was quieter than I expected. They handed me an old uniform and a worn-out logbook already waiting behind the counter. The first page had a single line scribbled in red pen. Don't look in the mirror. Don't say your name. Don't go out when the sun rises. I laughed. Figured someone was just messing around. But the deeper I read, the weirder it got. Some pages had names scratched out, strange symbols drawn in the margins, even what looked like a back-and-forth conversation between the person writing and someone else. Near the end, there was a hurried, scribbled message. If you're reading this, I didn't make it. Don't take the back door. And if you see yourself walk in, it's not you. Lock the door. It was 2:57 a.m. I heard footsteps outside in the lot, but no cars had pulled in. I switched to camera 4. Nothing. Then, ding ding. The door chime rang. Someone walked in. It was me, but I was still standing behind the counter. A page flips on its own. A pen lifts and begins to write a new line. Next loop begins to Daniel. Good luck. Here's my story. A regular night guard with a regular job at a place that's anything but regular. If you think libraries are quiet, harmless places at night, you might want to listen closely. This is the last reader at Hartwell Library. My name is Jamal. I'm 32. I work the night shift at Hartwell Library, an old building on the campus of a small community college in New England. My shift runs from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. No students, no noise, just me and rows of silent shelves. My job is mostly walking 3 rounds, checking locks, and making sure no one's hiding out. Sounds easy, right? Well, the problem is the M section. The M section is the basement. It holds rare manuscripts, old records, stuff that hasn't been digitized yet. It's dark, cold like a freezer, and the lights always flicker. No one ever seems to fix them. Every time I go down there, I feel like something's watching. My boss once joked, if this place is haunted, it's definitely down there. I laughed. Back then, I didn't realize he wasn't joking. On my 8th night, something strange happened. The card reader logged someone entering the basement at 3:03 a.m. Thing is, my card can't open that door. I thought it was a glitch, but then I started hearing footsteps coming from below. At first, just a soft dragging sound, then slowly, the sound of pages turning. I reported it to my boss. He frowned and said, "That's not possible. That door's on a separate lock. Only the head librarian has access." But the next night I checked the camera and I saw him, a figure in a hood, standing completely still in the shadows, never turning to face the camera, holding a large book in his hands. He stood there for 7 minutes, then slowly backed into the corner and vanished. I printed the access logs. Each night at exactly 3:03 a.m., for 4 nights straight, the same card was used. The name on the card, W. Hartwell. I thought it was a prank. But nobody on staff has that name. I asked the library clerk. Her face went pale and said, "Walter Hartwell was the founder of the library. He died down in that basement, still holding an unpublished manuscript. That's when the nightmares started. I'd dream I was on patrol and see someone sitting in the reading corner, back turned to me. When I touched their shoulder, they turned. It was me. But my face was rotted and my eyes were gone. I woke up mid-shift. The clock read 3:03 a.m. The camera feed showed the basement door was open. I grabbed my flashlight and headed down. The air was so cold I could see my breath. And then I heard the pages again. I called out, "Is someone down here?" No response. But on the old wooden table, a book was lying open. I leaned over to read. The page said, "If you're reading this, I've already found my replacement. Sit, read, and hold what you've discovered, as I did, and as the one before me did." I shut the book. On the cover was my name, Jamal C. I turned around. No staircase, no door, just darkness. And shelves, rows and rows of books, and the sound of pages turning up from my own hands. So if you're ever walking past an old library late at night, and you hear the sound of pages turning when no one's there, be careful. It might be me, or the next reader. My name is Marcus Hale, Senior Detective, Maple Bend County, Michigan. I've spent over 20 years chasing drug dealers, killers, missing persons. Thought I'd seen it all. But the case at Lake 11, it wasn't like anything I'd ever encountered. October 17th, a 14-year-old boy, Brian Coulter, went missing during a school camping trip on the edge of the local preserve. No one saw him leave the tent, no screams, no struggle. We found his footprints leading up to the edge of a small lake. Unnamed, unmarked, except on government maps as Lake 11. Here's the thing. The lake's shallow, barely 5 feet deep at the center. We dredged it for 2 days. No body, no clothes, no sign he ever entered the water, like he'd been taken. Quietly, completely. I started digging through old records. Over the last 30 years, there were 7 disappearances within a 2-mile radius of Lake 11. All of them outsiders, newcomers, tourists, campers. Locals don't go near the lake. I asked an old man in town. He just said, "It's a mouth, and it only eats strangers." I ignored it. I believe in evidence, witnesses, paper trails. But Lake 11 left none. Only one thing stuck with me. In Brian's journal, the last scrawled line read, "She says I can stay forever. I just have to step in." She? No one at camp saw Brian talk to any strangers. I returned to the lake that night, alone. Standing at the edge, I heard something, a soft humming, like a lullaby rising from underwater. Don't be afraid. They always come back. I flashed my light. Nothing there, just a still, glassy surface. Then the dreams started. Brian sitting by the lake, Beside a woman in a long black cloak, her face blurred like ripples, he said, "You can't help me, she didn't take me, I chose to stay." I'd wake up drenched in sweat, heart racing like a drum. I found an old ranger's journal from 1956. It read, "We call it the lake keeper. It doesn't kill, it invites. Only those who hear the voice can see it." Note, the ranger vanished 2 weeks later. I began to question myself. I heard the singing every night, even from miles away. I saw the lake in my mirror. I saw Brian behind me every time I opened a file. They put me on leave, said I needed a psych eval. But I'm not crazy. I'm just seeing what's actually there. This is my final case note. If you're reading this and planning to go to Lake 11, don't listen to the voice in your head. Don't trust the people you love if they appear at the water's edge. They are not them. And if the surface looks like a mirror, remember, mirrors only show what you want to see, not what's real. I worked night shifts as a nurse in the psychiatric wing of Renshaw Hospital in Missouri. Usually, I'm used to the screaming at midnight, patients talking to walls and lights flickering like a low-budget horror movie. My shift started at 11 p.m. It was just me and a doctor on call remotely. Around 2 a.m., an alert went off from room 4B. I stared at the control panel. Room 4B, I could have sworn this wing only went up to 4A. I checked the floor map again. No 4B. Maybe a system glitch? But the alarm kept going off. Reluctantly, I grabbed my keys and went to check it out. As I walked down the east hallway, I counted aloud. 4A, blank wall, then 4C. Right at the blank wall, a door slowly faded into view, as if it only appeared when summoned. The doorknob was ice cold. A faint yellowish light leaked out from underneath. Odd, considering the entire east wing was shut down after midnight. I opened the door. Inside sat a woman in a hospital gown, back turned, her long black hair covering her face. I swallowed hard. "Ma'am, are you all right?" she replied in a soft rasp, barely audible. "I'm fine, but you should lock the door, or else they'll get out." I froze. "Who, exactly?" She slowly turned her head. Her face had no eyes, just two deep, empty sockets. I sprinted back to the nurse's station and dove into the system. No records for room 4B. But after digging through old, restricted files, I found one marked "Do Not Access." Patient name, Maggie Roan, date of death, 2008, cause, self-enucleation, removed both eyes with her hands. Final note in the file, do not speak her name in the psychiatric wing. If room 4B alarms go off, ignore them. The door must remain non-existent. Later that night, I returned to the hallway. This time, there was no door, just blank wall again. I leaned closer and I heard whispering. From inside the wall, "You've seen it now, that means you can't leave either." Then came a tapping noise. Knock, knock, knock. From inside the wall, I told the on-call doctor everything the next morning. He stared at me for a while and then sighed. "You're not the first to say that, and you won't be the last." I asked, "So what do I do now?" He just said, "Ignore it, no matter what you hear. Even if someone calls for help, even if it's someone you know." I tried to move on, pretend it was just fatigue. But 3 nights later, I got a new message. "You've been reassigned to the rehab wing, Unit C, effective next week. Relief. At least I'd be off the East Wing." That night, on my way out, I passed the hallway one last time, standing in front of the blank wall. Was a nurse I didn't recognize, facing the wall, completely still. I slowed down. Before I could say a word, she whispered almost like wind. "You let them out. Now. You have to go in." I blinked. "What did you say?" She didn't turn around, but suddenly a pale hand reached out from the wall, grabbed her wrist, and pulled her in. I ran to the wall. Nothing, just cold plaster. She was gone. The next morning, I showed up at Unit C. The supervising doctor smiled warmly. "Kieran, you sure you're all right? I thought you requested to go back to the psych wing." I froze. "Sir, I never made that request." He showed me the email, sent at 2:07 a.m., signed Kieran Lowell. From my account. Same exact time the nurse vanished into the wall, I checked the hospital system. Room 4B was now officially listed. It had a patient. Name, Kieran Lowell. Status, under observation, not cleared for discharge. I don't know what I unlocked that night. But I do know this. Room 4B is no longer invisible. And if you ever walk past an old psychiatric hospital in Missouri and see a door no one else can, don't knock, don't listen, and if someone inside calls your name, run. My name's Alicia, and last year I worked the overnight shift at a 24-hour diner just off the interstate. It was one of those weird in-between places, part truck stop, part family restaurant. I worked from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., and most nights it was dead quiet after midnight. There was a side door in the back near the kitchen where vendors made deliveries in the morning. It had no outside handle. Only staff could open it from the inside. But the lock was old and finicky. Our manager kept saying he'd get it fixed, but he never did. One night around 3 a.m. I was refilling the napkin dispensers when I heard the door rattle. Not just a bump, but like someone was trying to open it. I peeked around the kitchen corner and froze. The metal door handle was slowly turning, like someone had somehow grabbed it from the outside. I told myself it was just settling or something, but then came a knock. 3 knocks. Then silence. I grabbed the kitchen phone and called my manager. He didn't answer, so I walked to the door, trying to be brave. I said, "We're closed for deliveries, come back later." No response. I turned around, and I swear, I heard breathing through the crack. I stayed in the dining area the rest of the night. The next week, a new dishwasher started. Super quiet guy named Darren. Didn't say much, but always seemed to be listening. One night I came in early and saw him in the break room reading through the employee schedule. Not just glancing, really reading it. I asked him what he was doing, and he said he liked to know who'd be working when. Something about that bothered me. That same week, I started noticing things out of place when I opened. Fryers left on, cooler doors cracked open, but no one else reported anything strange. Then, Saturday night, I got a call from my coworker saying she was running late. That meant I'd be alone for at least an hour. I wasn't thrilled, but I figured it was fine. Around 11:30 p.m., I heard someone knocking again at the delivery door. I ignored it. Then they started pounding. I ran to the front and locked all the customer doors. I tried to call the police, but the line cut out. I swear I heard a voice whisper my name from the back of the kitchen. "Alicia, come open the door." I grabbed the biggest knife I could find and waited near the front exit. The pounding stopped. I didn't sleep the next day. Monday morning, I found out Darren had been arrested over the weekend. Not for anything at the diner, but for breaking into another restaurant in a different town. They caught him hiding in the walk-in cooler, waiting for someone.